The things that I do, they don't inhabit a fantasy world to me. They are the things, and it's other people's things which are a bit spurious.
I'm here in the village of Ditchling in Sussex, which is the home that Emmet made from 1954 onwards to build a series of unique machines. Emmet was unique. He was a punch cartoonist during the Second World War, and then he went on to create whimsical inventions that charmed people for decades. But he was also unique in that he was forgotten. When he died in 1990, the machines went into storage, and since then there's been nothing heard of him. So in 2012 we set up a society to investigate quite what he'd done, because at that point nobody knew, and we're fortunate enough to get an exhibition, the largest exhibition ever of his work, underway in Birmingham last year. And as a response to that, we've now managed to get another exhibition in Ditchling, Brighton and Hove this year.
The Magical Machines of Rowland Emett exhibition took place in the summer of 2015. 2 of the 8 machines on display were located at Ditchling Museum.
Arnold Ziff, a friend and collector of Emmett's work, had already brought together a number of Emmet machines, but he wanted something unique for the 1983 Open Golf Tournament in Troon. Emmet responded by creating the Fairway Birdie, which was based on a cartoon he had drawn 27 years earlier. This ingenious machine mechanises the process of golfing by allowing the player to hit the perfect shots without ever touching a club. The golf balls receive a puff of whiskey fumes to make them travel through the air more smoothly before being placed on the tee and struck by the robot golfer. When the club swings, the ball disappears and a small bird, the lesser crested niblick, turns its head to observe the ball's flight. All of this is cleverly achieved by the action of strings and levers from a single electric motor. In 1966, Emmet was approached by the film producer Cubby Broccoli to work on a project based on Ian Fleming's book Chitti Chitti Bang Bang. Broccoli was familiar with Emmett's machines, so he was the obvious choice to bring the inventions of the film's central character, Caractacus Potts, to life. The smallest of the machines was the Clockwork Lullaby machine, which helped send the twins to sleep, with music issuing from a horn formed by the sheet music from Brahms' Lullaby.
It was here in Ditchling that the Emmet family settled in 1954, and at Wild Goose Cottage, where Rowland often drew much of his inspiration. One man who knew him well was Michael Orford.
I was working for Rowland Emett. I was cleaning his swimming pool, and he said to me, could I get hold of a gun? I said yes, and I went off home to get the gun, came back, and he sat me in a chair and showed me how he wanted the gun, and I had to put it in his position. Up with the gun and looked round towards the swimming pool, he said, and I had to hold it like that for about a quarter of an hour to 20 minutes, and then after that he said okay, and I put it back down and back to the swimming pool again.
Later, Michael found that his pose was used in one of Rowland's famous cartoons. The exhibition included Hove Museum, where a further 4 wonderful inventions were displayed.
The lunar cycle is called MAUD, which stands for Manually Assisted Universal Deviator. Maud was inspired by the lunar rover on Apollo 15 mission and appeared with Patrick Moore riding it during one of the Sky at Night moon landing programs. The lunar cycle is intended to be soft landed on the moon, and its side wheels may be aligned to different points of the compass, which is a sure sign that the machine is poised and ready to dash off in all directions. In the absence of a suitable instrument, the pilot, Leo Capricorn, has his Astrocat with him. As Leo says, cats always land on their feet, so his Astrocat is carried to establish which way up gravity is. Strategically placed on the front wheel is a dustpan with a reciprocating brush for sweeping up moon dust to be analysed later. In its special cargo box, the cycle also carries samples of moon rocks and a cheese comparator to aid identification of the moon's composition. The hot air rocking chair can be seen in Chitti Chitti Bang Bang, in the scene where Caractacus Potts discovers Toot Sweets. The chair has been designed to take all the effort out of relaxation by rocking itself. It comes with a reading light and even has brackets to hold slippers in readiness for the occupant. 5 rocking chairs were built, which is the largest number of any of the Emmet machines. Appearing briefly in the film Chitti Chitti Bang Bang, the VisiVision machine came from Emmet's own imagination of how a television would have appeared if it had been invented in the Edwardian era. The machine was constructed from things readily to hand, such as egg beaters for stirring up electrons and an array of wandering antennae for feeling electrical impulses. The tiny screen is housed in a gramophone horn and only shows just one animated colour picture depicting Grandpa bullfighting the next door neighbour's goat.
To enhance the public's enjoyment of the exhibition, Merv Huggett from Huggett and Brown Contraptions designed and built 8 special control boxes for the Rowland Emett Society. The control boxes were configured to trigger the machines by either walking up to them or by waving a hand over a sensor on top of the box. When triggered, an audio module played short tracks from Haydn's Music for the Mechanical Clock. The sound was heard from a pair of amplified speakers mounted inside the box.
The biggest of the Chitti machines is the Humbug Major, which plays a pivotal role in the film when it accidentally produces Toot Sweets due to the sugar being too hot and changes the fortunes of Caractacus Potts. Designed to make toffee apples and lollipops, the Humbug Major is fashioned, according to Emmet, from sundry copper fern pots, vases, scuttles and an antique milk churn. 4 of these machines are known to have survived. However, the difficulties Emmet had in producing identical copies using the parts he found are probably most apparent in the variations of this machine.
The Booth Museum in Brighton is normally all about birds, butterflies, fossils and bones, but in 2015 a creature of a very different kind appeared.
In the film Chitti Chitti Bang Bang, the little dragon carpet sweeper was one of Caractacus Potts' less successful inventions by failing to impress Truly Scrumptious, as it had a habit of sucking up the whole rug rather than the dirt on it. Its eyes are equipped with a pair of magnifying spectacles to hunt for dirt and an induction fan impeller which has been formed from a cluster of wooden kitchen spoons. The sweeper has a friendly appearance of a family pet, gently swaying from side to side as the wing-like bellows mounted at the top generate the vacuum.
The Chitti machines also have fond memories for another Ditchling resident, David Gray.
He first of all asked me whether I wanted a summer job. And so I spent a couple of months working for him, titivating all the machines up before they went up to the film studios in his workshop in Street. So I used to travel up every day to the studio, and I worked on various machines. I can certainly remember the rug machine, the sweeper, toot sweep machine, and the egg and bacon machine. We were asked then to film the egg and bacon machine, and originally it was intended that we would actually sort of be just behind the machine, but then of course when the time came they said no, you've got to be out of sight, so they put us behind the screen, the background, and we had a little peephole, and there we operated the machine. So yes, I was in the studio at the time when that particular take was taken, with Dick Van Dyke and all the children. So I had a great time up there, and it was a wonderful experience. I can remember every day of it. My family were sort of introduced to Rowland and Mary and to Claire when they first moved to Ditchling. Obviously I was probably only 5 or 6 at the time, so it really wasn't until he asked me to come and look at some of his machines that I can really have firm recollections in my mind. I have a photograph here of me, obviously when I was at prep school, because I've got a schoolboy hat on, with one of his machines, and I can certainly remember that photograph being taken, but that was many years ago. Our relationship with the Emmets continued over many years. I have very fond memories of them, Mary and Rowland. We had a very strong relationship, and when I decided to go to architectural college, he wrote did a very charming sketch for me in the book. I just won an art prize, and he very kindly decided to do a personal picture for me, and I've always treasured that, and you can see it in this book here.
Perhaps the highlight of the exhibition was a fabulous flying machine which had swooped into the Brighton Museum and Art Gallery for the summer.
The Featherstone Kite open work basket weave gentleman's Mark II flying machine. Rowland Emett built 3 Featherstone kites in the 1960s to promote British Oxygen, British Airways and finally Hawker Siddeley. Emett was a master of whimsical and gave wonderful names to the Featherstone kite components. For example, the machine is constructed of cane windbreaks from little-known French vineyards, and the wings are supported upon willowy saplings. All of the major control surfaces are covered with wild silk that has been suitably tamed. Power is provided by a wandering hot air brazier with an automatic damper, and up front there is a swarm of underslung silver butterflies to provide a trivial lift to the nose section. There is a full-time autopilot, FRED, which stands for Freehand Remembering Empirical Doodling System. The co-pilot rover sits comfortably in a combined pet pod and windsock. The rudder provides a first-class dicky seat for Cirro Cumulus II, the pilot's personal pleasure cat. The main wheels retract into semi-buoyant shrimp-like nacelles, while Eiffel, the altimeter, gives out 3 heights that every well-found pilot should know: Canal Level, Our Chimney and the Milky Way. The cup of tea that rotates on the table in front of the pilot is definitely not for drinking. The tea is used for determining wind direction, and operation is simplicity itself. You just dip into the tea and hold a finger upwards. Cold tea is the preferred choice by most of the pilots. In command is the pilot Sir Wilfrid Featherstone Kite, who has been declared the outright winner of the Blériot Horse Brass for extreme fortitude in the face of 2 haystacks.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed seeing Rowland Emmett's work. As a society, we want to promote it. We want to find a permanent home for it. If you want to join the society, we have a website at www.rowlandemett.com. Go onto the website and join. We have nearly 940 members now, and the website has had a multitude of hits. There is an interest in Emmet. We want to preserve him for the future.